never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
I'm still trying to figure out what happened. Pardon me a moment. I don't know, folks. Maybe a copyright thing. Maybe I played a bit too much Joe Rogan. Everybody else on the internet gets to play Joe Rogan, but maybe I don't. Maybe they don't play it in such length. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they just don't like you hearing what's been discovered, because there's a ton of it. I did have more to play you, and I won't, because I've got a funny feeling they're just going to kick us for that anyway. So, okay. So all 3 channels will be down for 7 days. Yeah, I reckon that'll probably happen. It hasn't happened yet. Actually, let me just go and have a look. Go to the dashboard and see what it says. Vince will be killing me. No warning yet. The computer probably hasn't composed it, but rest assured, it won't be all that far away. Sandy's back. Yeah. So if the YouTube channels do disappear over the next 24 hours or so, another strike. I don't know how they can ban me with copyright, because I'm certainly giving credit to the Joe Rogan Experience and not claiming ownership in any way, shape, or form. And we are presenting it under, it is essentially a free bit of publicly released information now. So this is just another example of why your like and your subscribe to this channel is so important, because the suppression that happens, you've just been part of it. You've just seen a great example of what happens when, is it the algorithm? The only other time this has ever happened to me, when they've unplugged us in the middle of a show, was when I had Ricardo Bosi on from Ipswich, I think it was. They unplugged that show as well, mid-show. Or if it wasn't that one, it was another one. Now, that was, I believe, because we were sharing a lot of truth, or what at least we believed to be truth, at the time. Is this another great example of it? U-Turd are certainly one of the greatest examples of censorship and suppression. So please give us that like, give us that subscribe, folks. It's really important. I had somebody suggest to me the other day that maybe I should get everybody to unsubscribe and resubscribe all in one show. I don't think that would work. All my subscribers don't watch the show live. They tend to watch it at various different times. A lot of people really must get sick and tired of it doing anything else on the weekends, or they're doing everything else and they just want to hear my voice because they listen to, you know, however many shows I've done that week on a Saturday or a Sunday. So it doesn't always happen that everybody's watching the show when we're doing it live. So I don't think that that will actually work. But you've just seen a brilliant example of how a live stream can be pulled by the U-Turd app, let's call it. Somebody's monitoring it, so we'll see how long this one lasts. I can't remember what else I've got lined up for you that may infringe copyright. I won't play that. I think I can probably get away with this. In Japan, they're doing some interesting things. You know, the Japanese always have an interesting way of doing things. This is good.
Virtual tax will be introduced from April 2026 due to decreasing of birth rate and low population in Japan. Basically, being single will be taxed. Nani? I will break it down. So the government, Japan, will increase the tax to help raising a child. If you're single or married, not having children, doesn't matter. Everyone has to pay this tax. Like this, if you give a birth, you will receive money from the government more than before, stuff like that, because government gonna use that tax to give money to the people who has a kid. Government want Japanese people to wanting kids, so they're introducing this bachelor tax. Do you think this will help Japanese people to make babies?
I don't know. It seemed to work pretty well in Australia a few years ago. Do you remember? There was the make a baby incentive. Of course, the taxes, I can't remember which tax they raised at the time. There probably were a few of them. But there was a great incentive. And I want to say it was $5,000 and then possibly $7,000 was the incentive if you had a baby. What did that create for us? Do you remember? Well, we're living it now. Most of the little shits that were born out of that, and all it did was create a huge amount of single mothers, pumping out kids from various fathers as fast as they could and taking the $5,000 baby bonus, as it was called, all the time. It wasn't terribly effective in growing our population, and I would agree our population needs to be growing. You know, if you are still capable of making babies, you should be out there making them. Try and make them with another Aussie, an Anglo, if you can, because white Australia is disappearing tremendously. We cannot hope to breed at the rate that our immigration is currently at. But if you care at all about maintaining any portion of a white Australia, we need babies. You need grandbabies. You need a lot more of them. Offer encouragement. I know it goes absolutely against what most parents would ordinarily think, but do it for the country. And I guess without the incentive, there won't be too many people who want to go and have babies. But our $5,000 baby incentive, well, that was an absolute ripper. And those little shits are the ones running around gluing themselves to footpaths and to roads and bridges and trees and throwing rocks at anybody who happens to be passing, casting aspersions at or anybody who was over the age of 35 or maybe 40 because you're old, things have changed, doesn't work that way anymore. Well, the world has always worked a certain way, and the young are very rarely at the forefront of that. There are an awful lot of bad things happening in the world, folks. Are we beginning to witness the end of pretty serious? England, Ireland, France, America, all these places burning. There's dissension. There's division. But in one particular country at the moment, that sort of division is being pushed in a much more serious way. This is vision of a little Irish town where the Muslim population has risen up and they are protesting. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this protesting is helping. However, they have other ways to protest. Now, what exactly are these Muslims protesting? I'm not quite sure, and I'm not completely sure they're sure. But I do know that the Irish have a certain way about them, and this is probably not the way you would protest. If you felt there was a better way to protest, then maybe as a Muslim, you might consider making friends rather than enemies. Maybe you should all have a picnic and consider that. Yup, that's a whole bunch of Muslims sitting on Christian graves, having lunch, having a party. You can see the food laid out on one of the graves over there. Phew. I'm not sure whether or not they would be as tolerant if, well, I don't think that there are too many grave sites in their homelands that people could visit, to be honest. But the desecration of the graves of those in the country that these people now call home isn't smart. Why isn't it smart? Well, I don't know. I'm pretty confident that most of you who are viewing this show today have been around long enough to remember the very bitter battles between the IRA and anything English. The IRA, or particularly the division between the Catholic and the Protestants as well in Ireland, has been legendary, and it has been ongoing for hundreds of years. It is only just in, the last maybe 20 years, we have seen a decrease in the bombings, a decrease in the assassinations, a decrease in the horror and the violence being perpetrated all the way across various different parts of Ireland, particularly Northern Ireland, though. And that peace has brought together Catholic and Protestant to a point where they can now be relatively civil to each other, and that a blow up at the pub doesn't result in someone's car blowing up or their house blowing up or a car full of children being blown up, as has happened in the past. By the Muslim minority choosing to plank their asses on the graves of what I'm sure are highly respected people, most part, particularly in that little town, is going to incite a form of violence that these Muslims think they're ready for. And of course, they have their own speciality when it comes to bomb making and murderous ways of doing things. Could this be, well, I don't think it could be, I think it is incitement. We have to be very careful about incitement. Incitement can be arranged, and we'll talk more about that real soon, because the protests are happening strong in LA. They're having a bit of a protest in Chicago. Now, that's only a few hours old. That looks to be supposedly a hell of a lot of people, does look like a lot of people. And at this point, this looks to be a peaceful protest in Chicago. So let's just wait and see what happens there. In New York, they're protesting as well. Now, there are some people saying that all of New York is out protesting. This place is out doing their jobs. Does that look like all of New York to you? Do you think of you coppers, who mostly outnumber what it looks like to be the protesters there, do you think all of New York is out protesting? The ICE agents going out and deporting these illegals that have crossed the border. In most cases, they're criminals and have been documented as criminals for varying different reasons. Now, it might be a criminal act to overstay your visa. Now, does that put you in the same league as an MS-13 member? I don't know. How do you differentiate? Oh, well, we do feel-good things. Well, what about the MS-13 guy who does feel-good things? Oh, well, he's reformed, he's changed. Well, it's bullshit. If America hasn't woken up yet, and particularly New Yorkers haven't woken up to the fact that their country has been invaded by fighting-age men from various nations, not just Mexico. Those people have come all the way through Central America and have been imported from various parts of Africa and Europe into Central America so they could walk the trek through Guatemala, through Ecuador, and all the way through Mexico to get to the border to be allowed to walk across it into America and disappear. So this is what New Yorkers and Los Angeles and Chicagoites, I don't know what you call them, are protesting about. But look at the ages of those people protesting. They've come from the baby bonus era, you know. I'm sure these people mean well. They have no actual concept of what they do. I'd like to believe that. Sadly, I don't believe that all of them are that disengaged and just want to get out and throw things and be violent. I think it'll be organized. And that's certainly what it's looking like in Los Angeles. At the moment, in Los Angeles, there are various sites materializing quickly and then disappearing with different pieces of equipment for the horde that is traveling around doing what they're doing on these streets. Ballistic face masks, or bionic face masks as they're called, but protection from things like pepper spray and rubber bullets and all that sort of thing are being handed out free of charge. If you go and check them out on a website, you wouldn't be able to buy in Australia for less than $700. But there are boxes and boxes and boxes of those being handed out by nameless, faceless turds at what look to be prearranged spots all around Los Angeles. There are also inexplicably pallets of bricks that have been left in places on the side of roads or tucked around the corner of a building here or there. Inexplicably. Well, maybe not so inexplicably, because I can tell you, folks, that there is a website you can go and visit. It's called nokings.org. And there you will find this map. Now, that map is showing you everywhere in the United States of America that they are planning to have a demonstration on June 14. They are, interestingly, if you go and have a look at the site, you'll see that there is a button you can click to check out what they have in store for Washington, D.C. The fact is they have nothing in store for Washington, D.C., and I think that's because they all know they'll go straight to jail if they get on the streets and do anything stupid. So they're telling people from Washington, D.C. to go to Philadelphia and join up with the crew there. But you can see the amount of dots across that map. Now, this No Kings organization claims to be having a rally in every one of those locations. Now, they also claim that in America, we don't do kings. They've defied our courts, deported Americans, disappeared people off the streets, attacked our civil rights, and slashed our services. God, you'd think they were talking about the Democrats, wouldn't you? The corruption has gone too far. No thrones, no crowns, no kings. God, it sounds like Australia. Except the Australian population isn't woken up enough to realise that's the case either. So the left in America is going mad, and June 14 looks like it could be a day where many areas of America will burn by design. The Democrats and those that support them are designing it. In Australia, our peaceful left, well, they're getting up to show their usual things. And please look at the faces of these people. If you can help identify them, please let me know. Baby bonus. It's probably $10,000 worth of damage to those truck tires. They'll all have to be replaced. Maybe more. I don't know. I know how much my tires are to replace. And my tires are smaller than those tires, fractionally. I think they'd be up for $700 to $1,000 a tire, easy. And we only saw what they did to some of them. How long had they been there, and how many other trucks had they done? Some Australian family raised them. It's just not Australian. We import Indian truck drivers to wreck our truck tyres. We don't need Australian children to do it. We would hope our Australian children have been taught better manners. But they seem to struggle a lot with that as well. More than most, sadly. But it is what it is. I did talk about incitement. Could a lot of this division, like the Muslims sitting on Christian gravesites and having a feed, them burning things in the street and generally being ungrateful for the position that they now find themselves in a country that isn't lobbing weapons over their head and having them land in their gardens. But oh no, for some reason there is division. Why? Well, it's because I believe the deep state is in its final throes, and I do believe final throes. This year has held probably more truth proven in hindsight than we've seen ever, and we're 6 months into it. There are some significant dates that keep getting thrown around, as always, and you know me and dates, I'm not keen to share them terribly much, but I've heard everything from the rapture date, September 23, to World War III starting. We've missed that date. There have been a couple of other rather loud ones. The Trump assassination. Next month, going to be a big month, apparently, with a successful attempt on Donald Trump's life. I can't remember what date exactly. Now, these are all predictions that have come out recently. Some would suggest from informed white hat, for the want of a better term, sources. I don't know. Right now, like many of you, I'm sick to death of what's going on. There are too many unawake people in the world. Are they ever going to wake up? If they're not ever going to wake up, well, wouldn't it be kinder to shock the shit out of them? Get on with the 10 days of darkness and the 8-hour repeated videos and let us all level up. I know a lot of things have got to come into phase with that, including energy from the sun, which is, I believe, on our way and on its way to us. There is constant bombardment, obviously, but there is more energy in the last 2 weeks coming out of the sun than we've had all year, apparently. So the stuff that's actually directed at Earth, and it does seem to be having some effect, at least on our magnetic poles and our tectonic plates, with all the stuff that we showed last night going off. So I don't know. It's pretty wild, pretty wild. Are we still on? Bring it on, had enough. So there you go, Michelle. I'm hopeful that means we're still on. We'll see what happens. I don't have too much more left for you tonight. There is this warning from the LA cop about incitement, and we need to be careful of that here in this country as well, because while we're watching from afar what these dickheads are doing in America, rest assured our country has dickheads of evil intent, well enough. There are plenty of them here in Australia willing to get us in a position where we get ourselves in trouble or we lose our battle in a way that was absolutely unintended. Maybe we didn't even know we were in a battle. So have a listen to what this ex-LA cop says.
All right, so let me explain what I believe is happening and why they want you in a civil war. So in the next couple weeks, these are being planned right now, very well funded, very well organized. At a city near you, we're going to have a riot. It's not just protests, full-on riots. And if you watch this video, what's happening... Why aren't the police doing anything? Why aren't they stopping and arresting these people? Well, Most of these agencies where these riots are happening are liberal-led agencies. They are, in my belief, telling them to stand down. Why? Why are they dropping off bricks? Everywhere across America, they're dropping off these pallets of bricks. Why? Because they want to get violent and the police won't do anything. So then what? Patriots like you and I, it'll make us want to go in and fight. Don't do it. It is a trap. They're trying to suck us in so that all the patriots are going to go, and then we're going to marching right into their trap for the civil war that they want. So what's the answer as hell breaks loose and violence ensues throughout these cities? Are we going to go save their cities? They're already gone. So get a food storage, get right with God, get out of major cities when it starts getting bad. Do not fight with these people. That's exactly what they want. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. I promise you.
Agree with him more, and they're going to do exactly the same sort of thing here by inciting the patriots onto the streets to protect property, to protect against, you know, this outrageousness that these interlopers are bringing to the streets, a bit like the Muslims doing in Ireland. They're asking to start those fights. They're asking for the young Irish men and women to come out and fight. And God help them if the old IRA and English patriots, Protestant patriots, come out, because it won't be the kind of fight I think the Muslims were expecting. This leads to another thought that has been put forward to me in recent days, and that is that we're going to have a war that the Muslims will more than likely start against the Christians. That war is likely to go for a while before both sides become aware of a piece or a number of pieces of information that make it very clear there is only one enemy, and that enemy would be Israel. So it's also interesting to note that Penny Wong seems to be singing a new song when it comes to Israel. And I don't know if that's because she's just managed to go over to Canada and hold hands in a warm, comforting way with a group of other warm, comforting individuals who gave her half a brain or an idea, or maybe just gave her no choice. She's come out and signed a document that two particular Israelis, government members, have incited extremist violence and serious abuses of Palestinian human rights. Penny Wong's head must have spun around when she was made to sign this. Extremist rhetoric advocating the forced displacement of Palestinians and the creation of new Israeli settlements is appalling and dangerous. Now, Penny Wong is definitely singing a new song. The Australian government has been singing a new song for a little while now too, condemning the Israelis, whereas beforehand it was all, God, you know, Israel this, and there's attacks on Jews here and there and everywhere, when in fact it was proven, particularly with the mosque attacks recently, earlier this year, was all bullshit. It was all paid by Jews, the Mossad, to burn down their own mosques, to incite people, to get people off the streets, pay them enough money to incentivize, oh, you'll never get caught. Well, you get people off the streets to do this sort of shit, of course they're going to get caught. And of course they're going to talk. All right? They don't understand the Mossad could probably have them killed wherever they were. But it didn't happen in this case. We found out the truth. We found out the truth about the caravan full of explosives that was obviously designed to blow up a mosque, you know, and for 40 meters it would leave a crater, and it was going to be around. Turned out they'd known about it all along, and it was all part of a big gangland trial thing, bloke trying to get a lesser sentence. It was the police who left it in public view for a week. It was the police who left it visible. It was the police who left it potentially open and available to any other criminal who happened to walk past and say, oh, there's a caravan there. Oh, I opened the door accidentally came open, and I saw all this explosive, and I took it home because I know some people who could use it. It was the police who put the country at risk, the New South Wales police in particular, and they lied about it. So did the federal police as well. These are all the people we're told we should be trusting. However, if Penny Wong can sing a new song, maybe we'll see something new out of our law enforcement agencies. I see that the New South Wales Commissioner has resigned her police commissioner's role. The family's more important. Maybe she has to kiss them goodbye before she goes to the gallows. I'm not completely sure whether that's true and going to happen to her or not. There are plenty before her who should be there, that's for sure. That's a bit weird. Now I can't. Oh. Well, it doesn't look like I can customize my overlay. I had one more thing I wanted to show you, but it's not going to let me show you. This is all rather weird. Can I play that? No, it's definitely not going to let me. I must have shown you far too much already. There are weirder and weirder things. All right, well, if it's not going to let me show you that, I may as well say, hey, it's been fun, and boy, there is one other thing I was going to touch on this evening. Tim Dwyer is tonight putting forward the third Zoom meeting where we will be discussing his base plan for a solution for we the people of this country, and what other plans were submitted in last week's Zoom meeting where the majority of us were not able to view. I know that there has been a big release. For those of you that went to Guru's show last Friday night and watched Tim and I and Jackie Dundee discuss this covenant document that she has written, and where for the first time Tim and I heard about Jody Lowe's idea to drive from Cairns to Canberra, collecting signatures on that document. Now, the document is really well written, and I think it's an important document. I was called today to find out whether or not I would support this document in any way, great shape or form. And I've got to be honest, if you didn't see the show with Guru last Friday night, I asked Jackie a number of questions about the document. The first being, who's it going to? If we get it, this document signed, who's it going to? I'm still waiting. In spite of hearing a lot of words, I never heard who it was going to. How many signatures does the document need? How many people need to submit this document? Because this document is an individually signed document. It's not like a petition. It's an individually signed document. So it's you basically saying that you're refusing to let them control you anymore. How many of those is needed to make a change? How many signatures makes a change? We had 1.5–2 million people in Canberra. There was a signed document there delivered to the Prime Minister, no less, by a hand-picked group of individuals from the freedom movement. And I say that with raised eyebrows and inverted commas. That didn't help. So how many signatures will make a difference? How many people will need to sign this document for it to make a difference? And can you tell me who it's going to be delivered to? Can you tell me where in Canberra it's going? Now, the person that rang me today, who had been, part of this process and, knows more about the entire process than I do, certainly, couldn't tell me. I got a lot of government departments and, all the ministers and the senators and lots of people. It's all a bit vague. I can't see it being individually served on all the bureaucrats and all the politicians that they say they're going to do it to. So where is it actually going? And it's not an it, it's a them. And it's individually signed documents. Now, I can share the document if I've still got it up here somewhere. That's the one. So I can share that document, and you can see that it is a 2-page document. If you want to hear it, Jackie read it out on Guru's show the other day, but it is, by and large, a wonderful document. Can't deny it. 2 pages long. Needs to be individually signed. So you and the wife, the kids, 1, 2, 3. And I believe Jodi's idea is to drive from Cairns to Canberra to collect those signatures. There may be others who decide to, I suppose, join the convoy and maybe help collect those signatures. But I ask, how many signatures are required for this plan to make a difference? And why is this plan being put forward now? Because, frankly, I don't see it as a solution at all. I see it as a piece of the puzzle. Now, both Jackie and Jodi, I believe, have been in Tim's Zooms. I know certainly Jackie and Tim have worked together on a lot of things. Tim and I had discussed many times prior to the first Zoom event the reticence of people who have been invested in finding a solution, sharing what they have found with others who have been vested in finding a solution and have found other things. There has been a level of animosity built up between certain parties. There has been a level of arrogance that has swept into many of those camps, and they all believe they have a solution. Tim Dwyer is the only person willing to put his solution up in all its glory, to be torn down, shredded, and rebuilt publicly. Why would anybody who went into that first Zoom meeting with a solution and who claimed to be wanting to be part of this process go ahead and take what is, I believe, a very good document, a good weapon in this war, and point it into an empty field and pull the trigger, hitting nothing? Because that's what it's going to do. It's going to hit nothing. The people organising this cannot tell me who this document is going to, or these documents, and how many signatures. Well, they're individual documents, so you're going to have to take piles of paper to Canberra or print them out to be delivered somewhere. Where? Nobody seems to be able to tell me where, much less who these documents are going to be delivered to. But they're going to be done in 2.5 weeks, which brings me down to the signatures. How are you going to collect enough signatures when you can't tell me how many signatures you need to make a difference? I mean, how many signatures are you going to collect driving from Cairns to Canberra that are representative of all of Australia? What happens to the people in Broome? Are we going to ask Madison King to drive across from Broome? Or are we going to ask Vince to come across from South Australia? I mean, it's possible you might get a little convoy going from different parts of the country, and all power to you. But how many signatures are you going to be able to collect? Now, the planned route for this signature collection, Cairns to Canberra catastrophe, it's probably shouldn't describe like that, but This hasn't been thought through. This has been raced through, right? And I wonder why. Because Tim's solution might be getting closer, or somebody wants to be first. This whole thing smells of me. I've got to be first. I've got to get out there first. And I've seen what Tim's doing. I've seen, yes, I'm right. Well, I've got, and moving it on. Now, whether that's the case or not, I don't know, but it smells like it. And it looks a bit like it. And it's definitely unfriggin' Australian. So let's have a look at the route. I believe Jodie's leaving from Cairns and picking up somebody else in Townsville on the way down. Well, that's a 4-hour drive, so all good and well. I believe the plan is to have lunch in Mackay. Well, that's 5 hours down the road from there, so that's a 9-hour drive for Jodie if he started in Cairns for the day. I would have thought staying in Mackay might be wise. But there's not much between Mackay and Rocky, and hey, look, it's only another 4 hours down the road. So the plan, I think, is to spend the night in Rocky, but stop for 2 hours to collect signatures in Mackay for lunch. Well, that's great. Don't know how big the freedom movement might be in Mackay, but I can tell you I have absolutely no interest out of Mackay. I've been to Mackay quite a lot, and in my previous job, driving buses and whatnot for this during the spicy coffee era. And the only people that you will find, and let me give you the tip now, if you're going for signatures, the best place in Mackay for you to stand to find people like us who will sign your document is the Mackay airport. But you're going to have to be there when the FIFO flights come in and out, because that's where you're going to find the only awakened people. The others are nowhere quite near as awake, unfortunately. I have a bit of experience around there, trust me. So then going to Rockhampton. Well, there is a marvellous group of freedom fighters in Rockhampton. I believe Rocky was going to be the overnight stop. So by the time you get to Rocky, let's say you've left from Cairns that day, you will have done 13, 14 hours driving, 2 hours for lunch, and then you're going to do something for dinner that night with all the wonderful folks in Rocky, and all power to you. You're going to be tired. You'll get a couple of hours sleep, and, well, you might get a little more than that. You might get 5-6 hours sleep if you're really lucky. Hit the road bright and early, because you're going to want to. The first portion of your drive for lunch on day 2 is Gympie, where, once again, you'll find a small but very energetic group of freedom fighters. Right? Wonderful people, all of them, who, if you're lucky, will be able to disengage themselves from whatever particular thing they have on happening that day, where they'll find you and meet you for lunch and sign the document. That'll be great. You might be able to add another 30 signatures there. Then the plan is not to drive to the Sunshine Coast or to Brisbane or to the Gold Coast. The plan is to avoid all that. I forget the reasons why. I was too busy laughing. They were going to Toowoomba. Also, a lovely town, and I have held shows in Toowoomba, but predominantly the audience comes from outside of Toowoomba, a long way outside of Toowoomba, the likes of Tara, the likes of St George, Dalby, Warwick, places further down the hill and further up the range. My audience is not Toowoomba located, I trust you. The freedom audience, while there might be a few, is not, thick on the ground. So staying overnight in Toowoomba, you'll be able to get a bit more sleep, because I don't think you're going to be inundated for the 2 hours. You'll be out trying to get signatures. The next day sort of surprises me a little bit. That plan is to go down the New England Highway and call into Tamworth, and I'm sure Dusty will get out there and sign this document for you. I mean, more the merrier. It's a great document. Why wouldn't you do it? And I'm not sure exactly how many supporters Dusty could bring in the Tamworth area to your lunchtime stop. But I'm happy to encourage people, if they, can find you on the road and do it, then that's all great. But then I'm a tad mystified as to why you would be having an overnight stop in Newcastle. You are essentially driving past Singleton. You would have to drive through Singleton unless the bypass is open. I'm not sure if it is. If the bypass is open, you can avoid it, but If not, you'll have to drive through Singleton and right past the Cali. Now, if you're not aware, the Cali is at the forefront of businesses in the freedom movement, and it has been for some years. In the Hunter Valley and in New South Wales in general, and Australia broadly, it is known for the stance and the strength of the ownership of that business, the stance they took during the spicy cough, and the stance they continue to take every day. There is a strong group of freedom fighters in the Hunter Valley. You know, powerful, impassioned people. And they'll come from Newcastle and Maitland and all around Singleton to come and sign this document if they're motivated by you to do so. But will they drive all the way to Newcastle and do it for 2 hours while you're getting ready to go to bed? Probably not. And it concerns me that for people who claim they know so much about the freedom movement and how to help us all, they've missed missed Singleton and the Cali completely. How many signatures do you think we will have gathered by the time we leave Newcastle? Because I don't think there's too many stops in Sydney or in Bowral or anywhere else along the Hume Highway on the way to Canberra. So how many signatures are going to make this weapon useful? 1,000? 2,000? 10,000? I think we need 10 million. Do you think you can gather 10 million signatures in 2.5 weeks? Just so you can be first to Canberra with a solution? That's what it appears like to me. Does it appear like that to you? It just seems rushed. And when it seems rushed like this and there's so much excitement to push it and so many people getting behind it, I get curious. Now, the last time somebody did something like this and created a list of us all, the people in the freedom movement who wanted to get behind and support the mission, the last time that happened, that list of people wound up in the hands of the government. They were handed a list of everybody who ordained to put their name down as a freedom fighter, free of charge. Well, maybe not free of charge, but I can't prove it was paid for. This is an update of that list as far as I'm concerned. You put your name down on here, all of those names will go somewhere in Canberra. You can be absolutely assured they'll go somewhere. The organisers of this can't tell us where, much less who, but rest assured they will go somewhere. And there will be some bureaucrat or group of bureaucrats tasked with going through every one of those documents with a signature and an address on them and cross-checking that against the existing freedom fighter list that they have. Those people who refuse to consent, who will not comply. And as they tick them off, they'll see new names that they can add to their master list. I see this maybe as a misguided attempt to be first on the scene and give this solution to us all. But in fact, all I believe is happening is they're going to give a list of all our names, all the new people who've woken up in the last couple of years, to the government. And a whole heap of paper which is going to get recycled. I don't understand why you would shoot your weapon, and it's like I say, it's a good document, but it's one piece of the puzzle and it's out of sync with the reality of things. So all this great document, this weapon is a slug lying dead in an empty field that's killed nothing, done no damage to anything on the other side. But it does allow the other side to come down and have a look at it, to inspect it, to say, well, here's their new weapon. That's an interesting new weapon. Oh, they've made a change here. Oh, they've done that. Oh, it's gone a little bit further this time, gone a bit deeper. We'll have to go away and have a think about that, because if these bastards ever figure out where to aim it, we're fucked. Stop firing your weapons at nothing just so you can be first. Ego is the problem, people. Sadly, ego. To be first, to be out there, to get the adulation of doing something. And I understand that. But is it worth sacrificing we the people and a real potential solution, or potentially a real solution, just so you can be first? Your name. It disgusts me, if I'm honest. I've been trying to think, is there any other way? Could it be anything else other than ego? And maybe. I want to believe that people do things with the best of intention. But while the best of intention is a great thing, it doesn't help us if you fire all the friggin' weapons and we're left with no ammunition. And all you've done is fill up an empty field with the best gear we've got. Certainly proves that not all dickheads are on the road. Hey, folks. Have a good night.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!